using textures and WebGL. And in the previous video we were able to create this cube that is moving around, so you can click and open this demo on a new page and you can see it around here. And right now what we are gonna do is, in this video we're gonna add some textures. So as you can see here, we have this image that we just downloaded, and we're gonna start with that. So let's close these tabs. Now that our sample program has a rotating 3D cube, let's map a texture onto it instead of having its faces be solid color. So loading textures. The first thing to do is add code to load the textures. In our case, we'll be using a single texture map onto all 6 sides of our rotating cube, but the same technique can be used for any number of textures. So it's important to know that the loading of textures follows cross-domain rules, and this is the link so you can check out the course, the cross-origin resource sharing. Okay, so that is, you can only load textures from sites for which your content has course approval. So you can check out this link. So add these 2 functions to your WebGL demo in JavaScript. So we have this function here. This is the longer one, and we also have a second function, okay, right here. So this is the smaller one. So we're gonna add it to our main JavaScript file. So let's go into the folder that you have it. I have in my games folder, and as you can see, I already downloaded this image, and I have it in my folder named game. Let me see, games. So I'm gonna open it with my terminal, and I'm just gonna type in code space that, so I can open it in Visual Studio Code. And let's move this one here. Let's start fixing. Okay, so this is our WebGL-demo.js. So let me see. So we have this function here, function init share program. We have the return, we have another function load shader, and then we just have the return. Let me see, we have the function. Let me see, we click here and we end up just here. So okay, so add these 2 functions to your WebGL demo.js script. So let's just copy this comment and let's just paste it. So we're just initialize a texture and load an image. When the image finish loading, copy it into the texture. So we're gonna create this first function and we're gonna name it load texture. So it's gonna be like this. It's gonna be function and it's gonna be load. Okay, it's gonna be texture, like that, camel notation. So load texture, and we're gonna pass in 2 arguments. It's gonna be the GL, and it's gonna be the URL. So we're gonna pass in 2 parameters or 2 arguments in the parentheses of the load texture. We are gonna open curly braces, and inside of the curly braces we are gonna declare this constant. We have this constant declaration named texture. So it's gonna be a constant, and it's gonna be texture, like that, texture. Okay, and we are gonna set it to the GL dat, and we have this method and called create texture. So let's see, it's gonna be create program. No, it's not gonna be create program, it's gonna be create texture, like that. Okay, so we have the GL.create texture, and we're gonna end this statement with a semicolon. So we have texture, and then to the next line we're gonna have the GL dot, and it's gonna be the bind texture. So it's, as you remember in the previous, it was bind buffer. Now it's gonna be bind texture. So it's gonna be like this, bind texture. Okay, texture. Okay, so now we're gonna pass in some parameters first, and namely it's gonna be the GL dot texture underscore 2D. So it's gonna be texture underscore 2D. The second parameter is gonna be just texture in lowercase letters, so like that. We can save it up to this point. And okay, so this is our first function. Now we have some comments here, so you can because images have to be downloaded over the internet. They might take a moment until they are ready. Until then, put a single pixel and the texture so we can use it immediately when the image has finished downloading. We will update the texture with the contents of the image. So we are still inside of the curly braces of the function load texture, and we are gonna have some declarations here. Okay, so we're gonna go here. We're gonna have this declaration name value, no, level, and we're gonna set it to 0. Okay, we're gonna set it to 0. We're also gonna have another constant declaration. We're gonna name it internal format, so it's gonna be in internal format in camel notation, and we're gonna set it to the GL that, and it's gonna be this RGBA, so this is colors, red, green, blue. Okay, so let's close this, and let me see what else do we have here. So we have the internal format set to the GL.RGBA. we also gonna have this constant name, oops, it has to be in lowercase letters, so it's gonna be constant width, and we're gonna set it to 1. So the width is gonna be set to 1. We're gonna have the constant height, and again it's gonna be set to 1. Oops, as you can see, that's the reason sometimes. Okay, so have to watch out for the typing. Okay, so let's close this one. We have the height, now we have the border. Okay, the width, okay, height, width. Now we're gonna declare the border, so it's gonna be const border, and we're gonna set it to 0. Then we're gonna have the source format. We're gonna have the constant, and then it's gonna be source format like this, and we're gonna set it to something, and it's gonna be the GL. It's gonna be the GL that, and it's gonna be RGBA like that, semicolon at the end. And okay, so we're gonna declare also the source, and this time it's gonna be the source type, camel notation. We're gonna set it to the GL. Okay, it's gonna be GL that unsigned, and then underscore byte, semicolon at the end. Then we're gonna have the pixel as we were saying here. Until then, put a single pixel and the texture so we can use it immediately when the image has finished downloading. So we're gonna have in this pixel is gonna be const pixel, and we're gonna set it to the keyword new, and it's gonna be the U. It's gonna be this one. Let me see, it's the U integer 8 array, so it's gonna be U integer 8 array, so it's gonna be this one. So Visual Studio Code makes it easier for you. We're gonna have the U integer 8 array, and we are in the parentheses, we're gonna pass in an array, so open brackets, and we're gonna have in 4 numbers, so it's gonna be an opaque color. It's gonna be 0, 0, 255, 0. So let me see, 0, 0, 255, 255 at the end. Okay, like that, and semicolon at the end. Let me see. Okay, yeah, it's gonna be an opaque color, opaque blue. Okay, so we have these declarations. Now we're gonna move to the next line. We're gonna move to the next line, and we're gonna have in the GL that, and this time we're gonna be using the text image 2D. So it's gonna be text, just text image. Let me see, text image, and then 2D, text image 2D. We're gonna open parentheses, and inside of the parentheses we're gonna have the GL that texture. It's gonna be like that, texture underscore 2D. Okay, texture underscore 2D, a comma here, and then to the next line we're gonna have in the label. Okay, so we already have it. Now we're gonna have in the internal format. It's gonna be internal format, comma. We're gonna have in the width. We're gonna have in the height, and finally Okay, width, height. Oh, we're gonna have some more, so it's gonna be, again, it's gonna be the ones that we declare, and on the top is gonna be the border, like that, and the comma, we're gonna have the source format, then we're gonna have the other source type, and comma, and then finally the pixel, and comma, and I think I omitted a comma here. Okay, so let me see how we're doing. Okay, that's fine. Let's put a semicolon at the end of the parentheses of the gl.text image 2D. Okay, and also let's go to the index.html and just right click and open with live server. So or you just press Alt plus L, Alt plus L, Alt plus O. So this is what we have right now working on. This is our cube moving, so we're gonna add some texture. Okay, so this is the cross-origin resource share in the course. Okay, so now we're now gonna talk about this. Okay, so we are still inside of the first function, and we are gonna declare an image. So let's close this one, and let's go below. Okay, so we're gonna declare this image. So we're gonna have this constant declaration const image like this, image, and we're gonna set it to something image. We're gonna set it to new image, so keyword new image, open parentheses. Okay, so ended up with a semicolon at the end, and now we're gonna be using this image. So it's gonna be image that, and we're gonna use unload. So it's gonna be unload. Okay, unload, and we're gonna use the an arrow function. So like that, curly braces. Let me see, const image, new image, semicolon at the end. Okay, so inside of the curly braces we are gonna have in the GL that, and we're gonna be using the bind texture this time. It's gonna be the bind texture, so we already have it. We're gonna pass into parameters. Okay, so we're gonna have the GL dot texture, so it's gonna be like that texture. Okay, this one, the texture underscore 2D, and then just the texture. So ended up with a semicolon at the end, and now we're gonna have the GL dot, and it's gonna be text image 2D. So it's gonna be text image 2D. So we open parentheses, and inside of the parentheses we're gonna have in the GL dot, and it's gonna be texture in uppercase letter texture. Okay, texture underscore 2D. We separate it with a comma, and okay, so we're gonna have in the label comma, and the label internal format. Okay, so it's gonna be the internal format comma. We're gonna have the source format, then the source type, like that, source format, source type, and we're not using the pixel, but we're gonna use the image comma, and we save it, and obviously nothing is changing yet. Okay, so but we are gonna put a semicolon at the end of this parentheses of the gl.text image 2D. So we have that. Okay, and let's see what else do we have. So okay, so we still have more code inside of the first function. Okay, WebGL 1 has different requirements for power of 2 images versus non-power of 2 images, so check if the image is a power of 2 in both dimensions. Okay, so now we're gonna use this if statement. So we're gonna go here, and let me see, I'm gonna move it right here. So we're gonna have an if statement. So if something, we're gonna do something here, and okay, so inside of the parentheses we're gonna have if s power of 2. Okay, so s power of 2. So we're using camel notation. We're gonna open parentheses here, image that width, so it's gonna be image that, and this is gonna be that width. Okay, so if s power of 2 and the parentheses image that width, and also inside of the parentheses of the if statement, so we're gonna use the double ampersand. So this is the end logical declaration, and the s power of 2 is Okay, I have it here. So s power of 2, again we're gonna open parentheses, image that height, so image that height. Okay, so if s power of 2 image that width and s power of 2 image that height, what's gonna happen? Okay, so this is the condition. If this is true, then we're gonna do something. Yes, it's a power of 2 generate MIPS. Okay, if that's the case, if this is true, we're gonna GL that generate MIP map, and we're gonna pass in the GL that texture underscore 2D. So inside of this curly braces here, we're gonna move here. If we're gonna GL that is gonna be texture this one underscore 2D. No, it's gonna be if the GL that generates, so it's gonna be generate GL that generate MIP map, and now we're gonna pass in the GL that, and then we're gonna have the texture underscore 2D. Okay, so we ended up this statement with a semicolon. Okay, so if that is true, we're gonna do that. If that is not true, so else, we're gonna use the else statement now. If else, we're gonna do something else, obviously. Okay, in the else's, okay, no, it's not a power of 2. Turn off MIPS and set wrapping to claim to edge. So we can just put in GL that, and that we are not gonna generate anything. We're gonna text parameter. Okay, so we're gonna text parameter, and then it's gonna be parameter I, and then we also have the parameter f, so we're gonna see it later on. And we're gonna pass in 1, 2, 3 arguments in this parentheses. So we open parentheses, and we're gonna have the GL that, and then it's gonna be texture underscore 2D, comma, we're gonna have the GL that, lowercase GL that, and it's gonna be texture. Again, it's gonna be texture, and it's not gonna be underscore 2D, it's gonna be underscore wrap underscore is. And finally, as a third parameter, we're gonna have in the GL that, and we're gonna have in the clamp, and it's gonna be to edge like that, and we're gonna end it up this statement with a semicolon. So we have that, and let me see, so we're also gonna have another, and it's gonna be this one, is gonna be the same. Okay, the second one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy this one, the first one, and just paste it down there, and I'm just gonna change this letter S to uppercase letter T. So we're gonna have the same, but it's gonna be the second parameter is gonna be GL that texture underscore wrap underscore T, as you can see it here. So that's the only thing that is changing. And let me see, we're gonna do pretty much the same thing for the third parameter, but the first, okay, inside of the parentheses, and we are talking about the line 204, GL that texture underscore 2D is fine, but these two are gonna change. So we're gonna have texture underscore mean. Okay, so here we're gonna texture, and it's gonna be mean underscore folder. No, where was it? Let me see. It's gonna be mean filter, so it's gonna be filter like that. And the third parameter is gonna be GL that linear, so it's gonna be GL, and then it's gonna be linear like that. Okay, so now we can close curly braces here. Okay, we close this curly braces is of the else statement, and let me see. let me see. So we have this, and then we have these two curly braces. So this curly braces, let me see, this curly braces belongs to the image, belongs to this image that unload, and this arrow function. So we have it here. Let me see how many curly braces we have here. So we have only, we ended up here and we have two curly braces. So we're gonna pass in this one, okay, two. We're gonna pass in here. This one is, okay, this one is here from the image that unloads. So I'm gonna go here. So, and now I'm gonna have the image. Okay, I'm gonna have the image. It's gonna be image that source, and we're gonna set it to something. We're gonna set it to the URL and end it up with a semicolon. Okay, and then we are gonna return, and we're gonna return what? The texture. So it's gonna be texture, like the semicolon at the end. Okay, semicolon at the end, and then we're gonna have in this parentheses. So if you can see that this curly braces belongs to the function load texture. So let me see, what else do we have here? Load texture, and yeah, that's pretty much it. That is the whole code for one function. Now the second function is pretty small, so we're gonna type in function, and the name of this function is gonna be is power of 2. So we have it here, and what we are gonna do is pass in values as the parameter, and we're gonna open curly braces, and inside of the curly braces we're gonna return, and we're gonna return the value, and also, we're gonna return the value -1, like this. Oops. Okay, so we're gonna return, let me put it like that. So we're gonna return the value and the value -1, and okay, this parenthesis belongs here, this parenthesis to the return, and we pretty much, this return is gonna be equal to 0, and we ended up with a semicolon. And now we can save it. Okay, so we can save it up to this point. So we have added two functions. The function is power of 2, and the first function, the load texture. So let me see what it says here. Load texture is declared, but its value is never read. So okay, so don't worry about that for now. So we have that, and now so the load texture routine. So the load texture, so we're talking about this one. The load texture routine starts by creating a WebGL texture object texture by calling the WebGL create texture function. It then uploads a single blue pixel using the text image 2D. This image makes texture immediately usable as a solid blue color, even though it may take a few moments for our image to download. To load the texture from the image file, it then creates an image object and assigns the source to the URL for our image which we wish to use as our texture. The function we assign to the image that unload will be called once the image has finished downloading. At that point, we again call the text image 2D, this time using the image as the source for the texture. After that, we set up filtering and wrapping for the texture based on whether or not the image we download was a power of 2 in both dimensions or not. WebGL 1 can only use non-power of 2 textures with filtering set to nearest or linear, and it cannot generate a map for them. The wrapping mode must also be set to the clamp_2_edge. On the other hand, if the texture is a power of 2 in both dimensions, then WebGL can do higher quality filtering. It can use mipmap, and it can set the wrapping mode to repeat or mirrored_repeat. An example of a repeated texture is tiling an image of a few bricks to cover a brick wall. So that would be very useful for creating some kind of like a game. kind of like a Mario. Okay, so MIP mapping and UV repeating can be disabled with the text parameter I, so we already saw it here somewhere. Let me see, text parameter. Okay, so the text parameter I, so we also have the text parameter I think it was F. Okay, so this will allow non-power of 2 MPOT textures at the expense of MIP mapping, UV wrapping, UV tiling, and your control over how the device will handle your texture. And if you wanna go more into the depth, you can check out these links. As you can see, we have the text parameter F, text parameter I, so but we're just focusing on this example. Okay, so here they give us this example. We're not gonna write the scope, but this is just an example. So we have the GL.nearest is also allowed instead of GL.linear as neither MIP map. So here, as you can see in the GL.text parameter in the line 204, we have the third parameter in the side of parentheses GL.linear. But okay, so GL.nearest is also allowed. So we have the GL.text parameter, so we have the 2D, text filter, and linear. And we have texture 2, texture wrap S, clamp to edge, texture blah blah blah, texture wrap T, and clamp to edge. So we have that. Again, with these parameters, compatible WebGL devices will automatically accept any resolution for that texture up to their maximum dimensions. Without performing the above configuration, WebGL requires all samples of MPOT or MPAT textures to fail by returning transparent black, that is the RGBA color 0000. Okay, to load the image, add a call to our load texture function within our main function. This can be added after the init buffers GL call, but also no browsers copy pixel from the loaded image and tap to button orders from the top left corner, but WebGL wants the pixels in the button to tap order starting from the bottom left corner. So you can check out that for more details. So in order to prevent the resulting image texture from having the wrong orientation when rendered, we also need to call pixel store I with the gl.unpack underscore flip underscore y underscore WebGL parameter set to true to cause the pixels to be flipped into the button to tap order that WebGL expects. Okay, so now we're gonna start typing something. Add the following code to your main function right after the call to bit buffers.